In what has now gone down in history as the day King Charles III was crowned 40th sovereign of Britain, British citizens turned out in large droves to herald the arrival of the oldest holder of the office. Lined on both sides of the roads, the crowds were not held back by the gathering clouds, and many of them cheered jubilantly, even as it poured.
There's massive silver.
On the streets, military service personnel donned their army colors, and some atop horses took their positions for the day. Security was tight around the city, and some of the anti-monarchists who were planning to demonstrate against the event were held back by the firm hand of the police. At Westminster Abbey, the 2,300 guests, among them 90 heads of state, also made timely arrivals to take up their seats. At 11 a.m., Charles and Camilla set off from Buckingham Palace in the Diamond Jubilee coach amidst the sovereign's procession to head to Westminster, amidst cheers from the crowd and music from the Scottish Army Band. Ignoring the light drizzle, Charles and Camilla arrived at the Abbey and proceeded inside to the sounds of the royal trumpeters and the Westminster Choir. In the 2-hour church service, Charles was first presented to the congregation for recognition as king before he took his coronation and ascension declaration oaths.
To any of them belonging or pertaining, according to their respective laws and customs.
I solemnly promise so to do.
Under a four-screen veil, Charles was anointed by the Archbishop of Canterbury, the Most Reverend Justin Welby, before he was helped into his royal robes by members of the clergy and his eldest son and now king-in-waiting, Prince William. Once placed upon the coronation chair, Charles was handed his instruments of power, including the spurs of St. George, sword of state, bracelets, the royal orb, and the state ring.
Lord, who anointed Jesus at his baptism, so anoint you this day.
And then, in a moment that he has prepared all his life for, the crown of St. Edward settled on Charles's head.
God save the King!
God save the King!
At this moment, a 21-gun salute rang out across Britain. With the assistance of the bishops of Bath, Wells and Durham, Charles was led to his throne. In recognition of his position as leader of the Church of England, Archbishop Justin Welby paid homage to the king.
Truth I will bear unto you, our sovereign Lord, defender of the faith.
Prince William, who is now king-in-waiting, also pledged his service to the monarch.
My loyalty to you, and faith and truth I will bear unto you, as your liege man of life and limb. So help me God.
In a shorter but nonetheless significant moment, Charles's wife Camilla was also crowned queen. This moment brought to an end years of uncertainty over whether Camilla, who was once the most hated woman in Britain, would ever be allowed to hold this title. Camilla, who had long been blamed for the demise of Charles's marriage to the late Princess Diana, was regarded unworthy to hold this title. It has taken a long campaign by Charles to see his wife accepted by both the public and the royal family itself.
May thy servant Camilla, who wears this crown, be filled by thine abundant grace.
As such, it was with joy that Camilla took her position alongside her husband. With the completion of the coronation ceremonies, King Charles and Queen Camilla proceeded out of the abbey to the sound of trumpets and cheers from the waiting crowd outside. Once inside the golden state carriage, the new monarch and his wife took time to soak in the adoration of the crowd during the coronation procession as they headed back to Buckingham Palace. As Charles begins his reign, what remains to be seen is how his leadership will shape the future of Britain and the Commonwealth itself. Joyce Nakato, NTV Weekend Edition.
Blessing. And look at it.